Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to another WCW My Son the Traitor episode. Alright, so there are a few things I want to do very quickly. First things first, I want to check if Brian Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, well, it's going to be Brian Danielson, but does not look like he's in the database yet. No. Yeah, it looks like he's not. That's fine. Who's that guy? Brian Adams. One half of Chronic. I mean, he's got a heavy painkiller abuser as well. Good popularity though. Yeah. Oh well, it's fine. Yeah, cool. All right. Disregard that plan. We're gonna start advancing anyway, because I want to get into today's Nitro. I've got the show booked. I've sort of not pre-booked it, but I've written down in my notes essentially how I want the show to run, including angles. I just recently got a comment as episode 2 is about to go out tonight, a little bit later. And you might notice as well, something I need to get out of the way. There's no music on this episode, no background music. And the reason for that is both episode 1 only had a minor copyright strike, but episode 2, with the music that I used, it got about not 5 copyright strikes, but 5 copyright sort of notifications and claims based on the music that I used. I was under the impression that the music I was using was non-copyright. Turns out one of the artists for the music I was playing was copyrighted. And as such, as a result of that, I've had to essentially go in and edit the video on YouTube, essentially removing those songs. So there are going to be periods during episode 2 where there's going to be music, and then there's going to be periods of no music. And I'm hoping that the periods of no music don't also mess up any of me speaking, essentially, because I have a feeling that might be something that happens, and I'm very frustrated at the fact that might be a possibility, because obviously it's my new series. I'm going to put a lot of time and effort into this, and if episode 1 it was one song, it was probably about 3.5 minutes, but episode 2 it was about 5 or 6 songs, all totaling up about 3 or 4 minutes between them. So that's like a solid probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes of, audio that could be messed up. Anyway, one thing I do want to mention is, as a result of that Nitro, our first Nitro back on TV, we did actually get a rise back up to 74 in both Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast. So happy days. We also got an increase there in Hawaii up to 51 as well. So some good news on that front anyway. Yeah. Let's get into the show. Another thing I want to mention is there was a pretty good idea put forward by one of the commenters. I might even give that commenter a shout out for a possible ECW invasion. Now, I did think about it initially, sort of with Rob Van Dam and Sabu, but it was Giants 9750, and he basically said, try and do an invasion angle with ECW versus WCW. I feel like there's a lot of different sort of possibilities that I could do with that. He suggested bringing in Paul Heyman, so let's quickly actually have a look and see if Paul's available. So he won't be available, which is perfectly fine. We don't 100% need him in order to do the invasion, in order to do that angle. I had a feeling it was going to be with WWF at this stage anyway. Pretty sure he was a color commentator back in 2001. But he suggested, obviously, we've already got Rob Van Dam. I've already shortlisted Sabu. I wanted to maybe do something between those two in the near future. But he suggested Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman as well. Having those four come in. And I feel like we've already got like a few decent sort of storylines that we can build off of that. I'll sort of go into that more a little bit in the future, if that is the sort of scenario that we go down. If you think about our roster, we have Mike Awesome, who is essentially hated by, I would say, all of ECW, especially the proper originals like Tommy Dreamer. So Tommy Dreamer versus Mike Awesome is a huge match. That could definitely be a very solid storyline we have in the future. Then we got the tag team of Sabu and Rob Van Dam. Have those guys team up, potentially having a heel turn for Rob Van Dam, which I wasn't really sort of expecting to do at such short notice. But could have them two team up, taking on Palumbo and O'Hare for the tag titles. Could be very cool. Realistically, we could also potentially bring back the ECW television title and have that be our sort of Nitro title that's defended while this invasion's happening over the course of a couple of months, or even more than a couple, and go forward from there, having that title defended by one of those ECW sort of originals every show. And it could be a good way to elevate someone like a Rob Van Dam with a belt on him, getting him momentum and wins going forward in that type of manner. Anyway, where are we going to run this show? I think we'll go Mid-Atlantic. We're expecting just under 8,000 fans. So I want Mid-Atlantic. And where are we going to go? We could go to the Florence Civic Center. It's got like a 9,000 capacity. North Charleston, South Carolina. Similar sort of thing. Yeah, it's probably between those two, realistically. Let's go the Florence Civic Center. I mean, they're both in South Carolina anyway. So we'll do that for tonight's venue. Hopefully we get a bit more than 8,000. That'd be pretty sweet. And last things last. Try and do a cheeky rib. Go Charles Robinson. But no effect. That's all good. Anyway, tonight's main event. Let me get my notes out. I just started another new note for the actual pay-per-view. All right, Nitro. So we're going to have a pretty good main event in this one, and it's not going to be a singles match. It's going to be another tag team match, and it's going to be Booker T teaming up with a person he might be pretty familiar with, and that is going to be Rob Van Dam in our main event. And they're going to be taking on the team of Mike Awesome and PCO. Let me also put them together. We need to do a few things here with those guys. We'll just go a 16-minute match. I think that'll be good enough. Yeah, I think let's go Rob Van Dam to be the winner. And PCO to be the loser. Does he have enough popularity to be in the main event? He kind of doesn't. But it's going to work. It's going to work. So let me do that. Let me actually just fix those instructions as well, because I want it to be an open match. It's also going to be a decisive finish, actually. And there's also going to be a botched interference here on Rob by Chavo Guerrero. So that's going to be the finish. No, it's going to be PCO. And PCO is going to accidentally be hit by Chavo. That makes more sense. We're also going to have another interference in this match by the leader of Team Canada, being Lance Storm. And he's going to be attacking Booker T as well, just to continue that triple threat match we're going to be going with. Following that, we're also going to have an angle between Booker and Lance. Again, Lance doesn't have the best promo skills. So I'm hoping this doesn't sort of tank the overall rating. I could maybe just go Booker cutting a promo on Lance. That might be better off for us, and I think we will go with that. So that's going to come on after the main event, and then before the main event, we're going to have RVD and Booker T together, double entertainment angle, and I'm actually going to write this one out because I have actually written it out in my notes here. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. Did not mean to do that. So Booker T, let's go RVD and Booker T state they would make a decent tag team if it arose. Yeah, I mean, it's simple and good enough. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We're then going to have another angle prior to that match. Actually, let's book the tag team match. I was actually pretty impressed with this one on the pre-show. So let's do Palumbo and O'Haire versus AJ Styles and with Samoa Joe. So we'll give that 8. I'll try and give it 8. I think we might have to cut it a little bit shorter. Give O'Haire the victory there. Yep, so it's going to be a non-title match, and then after that, we're going to have Super Crazy and Psychosis, of course. I know that this is not the actual Psychosis that I thought it was, that actually wrestled in the WWE alongside Super Crazy and Juventud. But I've got a storyline that I'm going to play out with that. And I think it's going to be beneficial in the long run. It's not exactly what I wanted to do right now, but it's going to work its way around, and we'll hopefully sign the real Psychosis fairly soon as well. All right, so they're going to be coming out for a bit of a stare down with Palumbo and O'Haire. So we'll get those in. Don't really know what we make it on. We'll go overness and I guess entertainment for these two. Don't really know if that's going to work too well. This angle's probably not going to do too well. But I still feel like I need it on the card. And let's just call it post-match stare down. Cool. We'll go like that. All right, moving on. What else have we got? Yeah, we just got just a singles match. There's nothing really sort of behind this one too much. It's more of just a further momentum sort of gatherer, I guess. Chavo's got warm momentum. It's just going to be Chavo versus CM Punk. Just a cheeky 6-minute match. Nice and easy, nothing too serious. They're both going to be, sort of on display. But it is really just to focus Chavo a little bit more and hopefully get that momentum up a little bit higher. I'm then going to do an angle, and we're going to have Canyon cutting a promo on Hugh Morris. Actually, he's going to be off screen. But that will give both of them a bit of success in their storyline. Yeah, it's pretty much just a bog standard promo. And that is, of course, going to be following another singles match where we have Buff Bagwell versus Hugh Morris. And we'll give this one 8 minutes. And Buff will get the win. I believe there is interference as well. I wonder if we can call this match. I feel like they're probably good on 60 psychology for Morris there. Yeah, Bagwell's a little bit better, 65, but we'll script that one. I did say it was going to be tainted, so outside interference finish on Morris from Canyon. So Canyon's going to come in, hit him with the US title, and yeah, Bagwell's going to get the 3 count. And then Canyon's promo will be after that match, where he'll essentially talk about how he just hit him with the title, and it's, you know, it's his title. And then before Buff's match, I want to have Buff cutting a promo on Booker T as well. Buff the stuff. Booker T off camera. I feel like Booker's been on camera enough today. So we'll do that. Just a cheeky little promo there from Buff. Similar sort of thing as Lance Storm's going to have later on. Because obviously our thought process is a triple threat for the world title at the next pay-per-view. Following that, we've got another angle. This one's going to be Mike Awesome. It's going to be Tori Wilson. And finally, Billy Kidman. Because obviously that's our storyline we're going with at the moment. So I think we'll go Menace for Awesome, Sex Appeal for Tori, and Entertainment maybe for Billy. Maybe Selling. Although I think we need Entertainment in there for someone. But I'm going to write this one out as well. So Mike Awesome is going to corner Tori Wilson. Following Billy's match. And then, yeah. And we have Kidman and Wilson escaping narrowly from Mike Awesome, who is being pretty damn creepy at the moment, that's for sure, with Tori Wilson. Then we're going to have a match, and of course, Billy Kidman's going to be a part of this one, but it is going to be a tag match. We're going to have current Cruiserweight Champion Shane Helms, and he's actually going to be teaming up with Billy Kidman to take on the team of Romeo and Skipper. And we'll give this one 6 minutes as well. Who gets the win in this one? I didn't actually decide who wins, so I'll probably give it to Shane Helms. And because they're the face team, we'll give them a clean victory as well. Cool. And then we have another angle where we have Little Guido cutting a promo onto Shane Helms prior to the start of his match. And yeah, Little Guido is going to issue a challenge. I'll put both of them on there, actually. That works out a little bit better. Then we have another match. How are we going for time? We're actually all right. So this match is going to be Kurt Hennig taking on Johnny the Bull. We'll give this one 8 minutes. Kurt Hennig getting the victory. It's going to be a clean victory. I know he's a heel, but we actually call this one. Is Johnny the Bull good enough? No, he is not. Okay. He's only young, Johnny the Bull, so we'll give him a bit of leeway. But he's going to get beaten by the veteran in Kurt Hennig. Very talented. And Yeah, there was a suggestion that I should maybe offer Hennig a new contract and pay him a little bit more money in order for him to pass the torch to younger workers. Very good idea as well. So we'll probably be doing that in the near future as well. But that's all done. And then we have an angle, of course. Get my phone back up. So the angle is going to be Kurt Hennig. Johnny the Bull. Actually, we'll go Diamond Dallas Page first. He's going to be off screen. And then Johnny the Bull can be on screen. Yep, that works out fine. And I'll write this one out as well. Fortunately, I can't actually put Johnny the Bull in there. But he essentially will just come out after Kurt cuts that promo about his match. All right, and finally we have an opening angle, which will actually take us to the amount of time that we need. And this one is going to be a match announcement from Shane McMahon, in which Rob Van Dam and Chavo Guerrero will finally get their wish, and they will indeed have a ladder match at the pay-per-view. Cool. Give on Finley. We'll script Shane as well. All right, now we just need to go through and change a couple of match styles. Make that one the Wild Brawl. That's fine. What are we going to have as our high spots match? Potentially this one. I guess we'll make it that one. And I think we just need a storytelling as well. I don't really want to make it that one. Probably go this one here. Storytelling with our tag champs. Taking on AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. And then I'll just chuck a cheeky tag team match on the pre-show as well. Where we can just have Anguish take on Young Dragons. And we'll make it a 12-minute match on the pre-show. And we'll give Super Crazy the victory. Cool. Easy. Let's run the show. Looks pretty good. All right, so we kick things off on Nitro on the pre-show with a 51 rated tag team match where we got Anguish defeating Young Dragons in 12:07 and Super Crazy pinned Kaz Hayashi with a moonsault. We actually got lower attendance here than I thought we would, so not great, but it is what it is. We have both Psychosis and Jimmy Yang off their games. However, we do kick off Nitro with that opening segment angle, getting us an 86, so that's pretty respectable. You love to see the blue number there after the anything above an 85, of course. We have Shane McMahon announcing that Rob Van Dam versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. will be contested at the Great American Bash in a ladder match. Of course, the winner of this match getting a United States title match as well. And yeah, good stuff, good angle. Shane McMahon benefiting from having a ground swell of support as well. Anyway, we go into a 59 rated angle where we have Diamond Dallas Page, Kurt Hennig cutting a promo stating that he wants a warm-up match prior to taking on Diamond Dallas Page at Great American Bash. And of course, we have the young Italian Johnny the Bull coming out and answering the warm-up match challenge. Their match together actually does really well. We get a 64 rated match here where we have Kurt Hennig defeating Johnny the Bull in 7:33 by pinfall with a fisherman's suplex. That's a solid rating for a match anyway. Kurt Hennig is very good, of course, Mr. Perfect himself. We move in to a 44 rated angle where we have Little Guido issuing a challenge for the Cruiserweight title at Great American Bash. And of course, we have the current champion, Shane Helms, accepting that challenge. We then have Shane Helms in action, getting a 53 in this tag team match here, where we do have Shane Helms and Billy Kidman defeating Romeo and Skipper in 5:45, when Shane Helms pinned Elix Skipper with a vertebraker. And apparently Shane Helms and Billy Kidman don't work well as a team together. So negative chemistry there. Whereas Romeo and Skipper have excellent chemistry. So one of those things. Sort of good to find out that negative chemistry there, negative tag team chemistry is there early. And not a great angle. I knew it wasn't going to be. Obviously, a 36 between these three is low, but again, it's probably expected. So we get a 36 rated angle here where we have Mike Awesome cornering Torrie Wilson following Billy's match, and we have Kidman and Wilson escaping narrowly before the big Mike Awesome can either do some damage to both Torrie or Billy. We then sort of bounce back a little bit with a 64 rated angle where we have Buff the Stuff Bagwell, and he cuts a promo on the current world champion Booker T, stating that he's going to become the next champ at the Great American Bash. We then go into Buff's match, which gets a 63, so slightly lower, but it's actually a pretty good match considering it's these two in a contest together. And we do indeed have Buff Bagwell defeating Hugh Morris in 7:31 by pinfall with a blockbuster, and that is following interference from the United States champion Canyon. Apparently Buff was penalized due to being in extremely poor form. So that's a strange one, but it is what it is. Still a pretty good match. Hopefully we can do something to get Buff out of that poor form. A win is likely going to help with that anyway. We then go into a 55 rated angle from Canyon. Of course, he's talking about the United States title and how he just smashed Hugh Morris across the head with it, and states that Hugh Morris, he's not on his level. He's not championship material, and Canyon is going to remain the United States champion at the Great American Bash. We then go into sort of it was a bit of a throwaway match, but we get a 42 for this one, so it's not terrible, considering that Chavo is probably just going into the mid-card now. And then, of course, CM Punk's sort of like an opener, lower mid-card level. But we do have Chavo Guerrero Jr. defeating CM Punk in 5:44 by pinfall with a Tornado DDT. And yeah, just a momentum builder really for Chavo going into the pay-per-view. All right, we then go into a match I was pretty impressed with on the pre-show last week. We get a 48 rated, so slightly lower than the pre-show, but then again, it's about, 4 minutes shorter. But we do have the current tag team champions, Palumbo and O'Haire, and they defeat AJ Styles and Samoa Joe in 8:20. And we had Sean O'Haire pinning Samoa Joe with a senton bomb. Yeah, AJ Styles getting better at his new gimmick, and of course having a hot new move, along with Sean O'Haire, who also has a hot new move as well. Samoa Joe apparently the weak link in this match. We then go into another angle that I thought was going to be, albeit it's probably my fault because I didn't script either of these two, but we get a 31 rated angle here where we have a post-match stare down with Anguish and Palumbo and O'Haire. So essentially these two jump on the mic, essentially saying, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to come down and fight? And of course, Super Crazy and Psychosis. I mean, everyone here is a face, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's sort of like face team versus face team. They're not sort of coming to blows yet, but the seeds are sort of, I'm trying to plant the seeds and get them sowed a little bit. Scripting these two, probably a good idea. That was more of just an error, because I would have liked for them to be scripted during this. 31's pretty bad. We bounce back a little bit with this one. We get a 77 rated angle where we have RVD and Booker T, and they state they would make a decent tag team if the opportunity arose, or if the opportunity was to arise. And of course, they will be teaming up tonight in the main event. But, you know, they're both sort of coming to an agreement that they would actually be a decent tag team together. And who knows, maybe one day they will. Maybe they'll be tag team champions. That's sort of what they're both alluding to during this backstage promo. Yeah, Booker T did good. RVD enjoyed having the freedom to go off script. And he's got a groundswell of support as well. Booker T's got a hot catchphrase, which is good. And just, yeah, apparently the announcing was pretty weak. So we move into the main event, and it actually does really, really well. Honestly, that's a lot better than I thought it would. I also forgot to make these two an actual tag team. Doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, 75 rated main event for our tag team match here, where we have Booker T and Rob Van Dam defeating Mike Awesome and Pierre Carl Olile. PCO. We'll stick with PCO. In 15:39, when Rob Van Dam pinned PCO with a frog splash. And then during the match, we also saw Chavo Guerrero accidentally hit PCO. And obviously that was sort of the end of the match. Because, yeah, Chavo hit PCO. RVD hit a frog splash, got the 1, 2, 3. But we also had Lance Storm come in and attack Booker T. Again, adding a little bit more fuel to that fire with these two Canadians. And, of course, Lance Storm. PCO, the weak link, it's to be expected. He's only got about 20 popularity at the moment, so it's perfectly fine. And, yeah, got some good chemistry at the announce booth. RVD's getting better at his gimmick. He's in amazing form now as well. It's good to see. And he's got that groundswell of support as well. And our final angle, that's what we like to see. A 99 rated angle there, where we finish the show off with Booker T and Lance Storm. Booker T cutting a bit of a scathing promo on Lance Storm, saying that, you know, he's somewhat afraid of him. You know, he's taking these cheap shots, interfering in his matches, you know, putting two of his heavyweight boys into matches with him, trying to either hurt him or cause some sort of damage prior to their big match at the pay-per-view. And yeah, Booker T doing a masterful job without a script to follow. And yeah, getting us a 99, which is definitely going to help our overall show rating there. I was a little bit worried with it. A couple of 30 rated angles is gonna do some damage. And there we go. It does indeed save the show. We get an 82 rating for Nitro yet again. I think that's 82 back-to-back for our first two Nitros. Loving that. That's a good start. That is a very, very good start. And we increase our popularity in 15 regions as well, which is really good. And of course, that's going to hopefully push all the 64s up to a 65, which would be immense. We've got a bit Booker T opinion here. Apparently, Elix Skipper isn't charismatic. I mean, he's probably not. He's got 65 charisma. Like, it's decent. He's also got good chemistry with his tag team partner, so he'll be sticking around. We get a 1.12 TV rating, 840,000 viewers. Yeah, it's not too bad. You got Tommy Dreamer, of course I mentioned him before. What does he actually look like? You know what? He's actually not half bad, and he's only 30 years old as well. And he's got some relatively good overness, so he's 40 across the board. Got 55 in the tri-state as well. I mean, we essentially could run a lot of those invasion angles in the tri-state region. Could be something to think about. Anyway, let's have a look. We are indeed back up to 65 in all of those other regions across the US. We're up to 41 in some of the regions in Canada as well. And unfortunately, we're probably the same in Australia in Oceania, I should say. Good stuff. One other thing I want to do is show you Booker T's overness. So I believe he started on 70, and as our world champion, we've already got him up to like 77s. He's got a 78 in the Northwest as well. So very, very impressive stuff for our world champion. You might be wondering to yourself, well, I'm sure DDP's probably lost a bit. He did lose a little bit. He went down to 73 pretty much across the board. But as of last week, the first Dynamite show, we managed to get him back up to the 74 in a couple of regions. So he's not doing too badly. Yeah, so while we're here, let's quickly add this team. I know realistically we should have done it before, but it's going to be Mike Awesome and PCO, and they're literally going to be called Team Canada as well. There was a shout for I might even go Team Canada 1. There was a shout for me bringing in maybe I guess that'll be Team Canada 2 then. Yeah. So let me change that one to Team Canada 2. Save that. And then this one, Team Canada 1. Save that. And let me just make that a unit as well. Alright, another thing to do is to actually add them all in a stable together. So Lance is obviously the leader. We got Mike and we got PCO. And then we're also going to chuck in Natty Neidhart. I mean, she's realistically a support member, but at the moment, we'll leave it at that. And again, it's literally going to be called Team Canada. Not very very special or even out there, really. Let's go Team Canada WCW. I wonder where the other Team Canada is. Probably in the WWF, I would assume. Anyway. Another thing I want to look at is our, what do you call it, creative meeting. So, finally, Booker T is now a franchise player. Of course, still got Shane McMahon in there as well. Our next big things, we got Kevin Steen in at number 1, AJ Styles number 2, CM Punk number 3, the prototype John Cena number 4 there, and then finally Shane Helms. It's worth mentioning that John Cena is going to be out for a whole year, so it's going to put a little bit of a delay on him actually becoming anything. Our hot prospects is pretty much the exact same thing, albeit Samoa Joe comes in at the bottom there. So very, very similar. Talk the talk. Apparently CM Punk's got really good entertainment stats. We might be able to use him and build him up in popularity based on those entertainment stats. So that's sort of the reason why I put him on TV. Even though he lost to Chavo this week, we can definitely maybe give him some angle time. Showstoppers pretty much the same. Rob Van Dam at the top there. Ring General's pretty much exactly the same. Rob Van Dam in there as well. Who's hot, who's not. And Hidden Gems. Yeah, I mean, Monty Brown, possibly. Maybe Hot Stuff Hernandez. I thought about maybe bringing him in as like a bit of muscle for Chavo, potentially. Yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, we don't want to be signing too many people. There are also some shouts for us to potentially open our own developmental territory, which I'm not against. I would kind of maybe like to take one over, potentially. Maybe like IWA Mid-South, or possibly someone in the actual NWA, whether it be NWA Florida, Wildside, Pro Wrestling 01. Preferably either Florida or Wildside. I know AJ Styles used to be in Wildside, so that'd be pretty cool to take over. Albeit we could maybe open our own sort of developmental territory. It's something to think about. We're going to be making a lot of money, so yeah, we made 1.3 million last month that was running literally just a pay-per-view show. Now we have TV money, and we're going to be running the pay-per-view as well. So, yeah. Anyway, another thing I'll do real quick is we just want to add Natty Neidhart to all of our members of Team Canada. So I'll quickly do that. Save that one. Mike Awesome. Save that one. And finally, PCO. And get Natty with him as well. Cool. All right. That is essentially going to wrap up the episode, guys. If you enjoyed, please make sure you smash the like button. If you have not subscribed, there's still about 60% of you that have not subscribed to the YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and you will be up to date with these episodes coming out in the future. And of course, there will be no issues with this one. No copyright issues, which I'm very happy about. As always, guys, take it easy and goodbye.